Warframe. It's that game with the tagline, ninjas play free. Though if I had to come up with one, it'd be Warframe. You've heard of it. Or Warframe, it's not Destiny 2. And if you're a D2 player, that last one probably means something very different to you nowadays, doesn't it?
Guardian down.
I've been where you are, scrolling through Steam, laid back, eyes glazed over, and a hole in your heart that only a free-to-play game can fill. You've been scrolling a while, so long in fact that you've started to wonder if you should have just hit play on some random game you already have installed so you can at least feel like you're getting something out of your free time, but you won't. You're not gonna do it. You need something to scratch that itch for absolute mayhem. That horde-breaking, hot lead-slinging, blade-slicing, space magic chaos. You want to mag dump a hallway into a ruin of bodies haloed with 7-digit numbers, and ability spam your way through a bunch of losers who have no choice but to kiss the floor in recognition of your almighty build. You want to customize, colorize, and lose yourself in a massive community where you can say, I made this. This is me. And after all is said and done, you want to ask your friends, how's the look? Finding Warframe was inevitable. The game you somehow keep hearing about and can't quite believe so many people are still playing. Maybe you even tried it like 7 years ago, but it never quite grabbed you, or it felt more confusing than fun, or everyone you used to play Destiny with jumped ship and you missed the sound of Discord notifications for looking for one more at Crota, know what to do, be cool. One way or another, you're ready to give Warframe an honest try. But you already know you've got questions, because if there's one thing this game makes clear from the jump, it's that every inch of it is a little bizarre, just a little hard to chew. So, half alive in your chair and with nothing else to play, it's time you finally acknowledge the creeping urge at your core that's only got one thing to say. Get in the robot. Welcome, Tenno. I'm on campaign, and I'll be your guide through the many dangers of the Origin system. If you want to have a fun, successful time out there, you need to think big picture, high level, like some Corpus execs might say. This guide isn't going to be too specific, more broad strokes, the stuff you'll be dealing with most of the time. This game needs the right mindset, the right expectations, and so consider this broadcast your official indoctrination, a free alignment check to make sure you're steering in the right direction. First things first, what is Warframe? It's a third-person looter shooter hack and slash. You've got guns, you've got melee weapons, you've got world-slaying space magic. See those numbers? They're fucking dead. You are a Tenno, a secret to most, a mercenary to many, and a walking bioweapon to anyone who gets in your way. Your goal? To make some dash and turn it into guns that crack a room in half, and to save the innocent people of the Origin system from oppression, but mostly the money thing. You are power, and you're here to kickflip and wall grind your way to bending mighty tyrants in half as easily as $1 in your pocket. This is not a joke. The meat of the game is broken up into missions. So many missions. Select one from navigation, load in, obliterate all living matter, complete a simple objective, and get out, fast as you can. There's several types of missions, each asking for a different approach, but you'll mostly be spending your time punishing every little red dot on your radar and stealing their stuff on your way to extract. You'll be doing this over and over again for the entire game, either because you're completing a node for the first time, need to farm a specific resource part mod or some other item, you're leveling up gear, or there's some kind of time-limited reward for doing so, or because one of your friends just installed the game and they need a personal chauffeur through the star chart. I'm so tired. As for expectations, not gonna lie, things are gonna start a little dull. Low-level missions are baby. They are goo-goo gaga. They are loaded diaper slow. While you're cruising through the system, you might find yourself feeling particularly unchallenged, asking yourself, is it supposed to be this easy? And yeah, kinda. The star chart is essentially an extended tutorial, getting you familiar with various mission types, enemy factions, and environments on a slowly escalating scale of difficulty. Really though, you're cutting a path through time. While a lot of Warframe has been overhauled over the years, you're pushing through its earliest days of development to its most recent, where its quality and intensity are usually at their height. Most of the star chart won't throw its strongest punches at you until you get to the very end, where the game more or less expects you to have at least half a build to work with. Once you've completed the star chart, you'll get access to significantly more challenging stuff, where the game starts to get really fun. Of course, I say this as someone who knows where this little warpath leads. I've seen things. I've toppled the Eidolons, I've smiled with the man in the wall, I have walked the steel path, and you will too. But how do you get from here to there? You gotta complete the star chart. Once you get through the intro, you'll have access to your orbiter. Think your own personal player hub. Star chart is accessible at the front of the cockpit, and it's where pretty much all of your missions live, the vast majority of which will be locked from the start. Completing an available mission unlocks the ones connected to it. From there, let's connect the dots on the scale of the solar system. Missions are grouped together in the form of planets, moons, etc., connected by something called junctions. Before you can move on from one group of missions, i.e. travel from one planet to the next, you need to complete that path's junction, which will have a set of requirements and rewards. Junctions act as a sort of tutorial and guide that sends you down the critical path of the game and introduces you to many of the game's systems and quests. If you don't know what to do the star chart. In fact, just complete every mission at every location as you go. It's a lot and definitely a little tedious, but you'll thank me later. Or if you're living in some future timeline when they've inevitably streamlined the game again, just be thankful you don't know what I'm talking about. As you complete the star chart, you'll unlock quests. Quests give you greater access to systems, weapons, warframes, and other little doodads which will grow your power as a player. If you want the good stuff, you want to do quests. Not all of the quests are required, and more than a few aren't very interesting, but as you get closer and closer to more recent content, you'll find that quests start to get some of that narrative spice. If you haven't heard it already, the story picks up steam at the second dream, which will probably start in your first week or so of play. Everything before that is more or less teaser stuff from a bygone age. In any case, if I ran through all the different unlocks you get by completing quests in the star chart, you'd think I'm speaking another language. So just take it slow and knock out each mission, each location, and each junction one at a time. It's the most important thing to focus on if you want smooth travels into the end game. Why is this so important? Because this game is about one thing: builds. Warframe isn't a third-person shooter, it's Magic the Gathering with guns. Between all the Warframe's weapons and mods to choose from, I cannot pronounce the number of ways in which you can play this game. Cataloging the most interesting loadouts for all your playstyles and crashing against a room chock full of 1,000 psychotic enemies with a fully fledged build is where the real fun is. And to get there, you gotta complete the star chart. And as you complete the star chart, you're gonna be confronted with 1,000 different distractions, like void fissures or bounties on Venus, or derelict vault farms at Deimos, and what are railjack missions, and how long does this Deviri thing go for? If you're just trying to catch up with your buddy who you just found out has like 2,000 hours in that game you heard of nearly a decade ago, here's how that'll go.
How do I get to you?
What do you mean?
Like, how do I... No, I want to do the stuff you're doing.
I probably gotta complete, like, New War, maybe some other...
Okay, how do I do that, though? How do I do that?
Should be in your codex, like, what you gotta do.
Like what?
The codex.
I don't see it. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So I need to do, like... Go to war, blah, blah, apostasy, prologue. Oh, okay. I gotta... What's a railjack?
It's like a big ship.
What else do we need? An amp?
Yeah, you need an amp. I hate amps.
A what? Okay, I gotta build a Necromech 2 from that one we did. And all that needs me to do... Rising Tide and Heart of Deimos. But for Rising Tide, I gotta do the second dream, which needs... Nada. Nata? Nada. Nada. I gotta play this fucking game for very long. I gotta do Jupiter and a mission on Europa and... What the... Like... There's so much. Can we just go back to Destiny?
There's a ton of little interesting things to chase along the way, but what's going to happen is you're going to ask yourself, how do I get this thing? And the game is going to say you need to do this quest to access this other quest to unlock this junction to access another planet. So you can play the third mission of the Implosion Matrix array, and you're not going to know what any of it means, and you're going to want to give up. So do the star chart. I will break your legs. The community. In a world of toxic games, we're the town of friendly people. Crafting. Unlike most looter shooters out there, don't expect to find guns and whatnot dropping off enemies in Warframe. Instead of gear dropping with random rolls, you craft pretty much everything. Through the Foundries section of your orbiter, you'll find an ever-growing list of blueprints that you've collected from the market for in-game currency or as rewards from missions. Each blueprint requires various resources and sometimes parts that have their own blueprints, which is to say, cooking in the kitchen is going to be the main way you get your gear. Stick some ferrite and nanospores into the pot and pull out a gun, or like an entire new guy you can wear. Though there's a few caveats you'll want to know. Crafting takes time, like a lot of time. Small things like consumables take a minute to heat up, while weapons need to cook for 12 hours. As for warframes, you'll need to craft up 3 major parts which take 12 hours apiece, which you can do simultaneously, followed by another 72 hours for the warframe itself to fully bake. Sounds intimidating, sounds horrible, I know, but let me tell you, once you get into the habit of crafting every little thing you come across, you'll forget it takes any time at all because you'll already have so much stuff ready to claim. The other thing to keep in mind is that your account starts with a limited number of slots for weapons, warframes, and similar. Now, while this may rightfully trigger your primordial gamer brain that hates all things mobile gaming, you should know that it's not too hard to get slots. A new account starts with a small sum of premium currency, platinum, which you can use to get a few extra slots. Or you can trade rare mods and prime junk for plat if you can stomach briefly talking to strangers on the internet. Also, you can usually get slots through Nightwave, Warframe's 100% free take on the battle pass you see everywhere nowadays. Now, after doing a few missions and maxing out your starter frame and a few weapons, you'll run into something called Mastery Rank. Mastery Rank is your level as a player, denoting how much stuff you've completed. Leveling up weapons, warframes, companions, and completing missions and junctions, just about everything contributes to your MR. Every time you max out your mastery, you'll have the opportunity to complete a Mastery Rank test, which are mini missions that test your competency over specific systems like stealth, hacking, and the various art forms of violence. Complete each test for a number of quality of life benefits. MR is just a number when it comes to skill or knowledge, but it also serves as the gate for certain equipment, mostly so your veteran buddy doesn't dump a Godslayer in your lap before you know what to do with it. Though that doesn't stop them from trading you the real Godslaying stuff, mods. Mods are the main thing to chase for a long time. No piece of equipment is good without them, and with the right combination, you will be horrified by your own power. What are mods? They're these little cards that change your equipment's stats, found in the upgrade menu when viewing a piece of equipment in your arsenal. Every piece of equipment has a limited capacity and a number of slots for mods. Each mod has a capacity cost, and it's your job to find the right combination of mods from your collection to make that piece of equipment the best it can be. You'll hear a lot of people say the mod system is the most intimidating new player denying obstacle in the game, and, well, that's really only true if you try to get sweaty right away. For now, just keep in mind that every weapon or warframe is trying to be something. There's a role they're trying to fill. Generally speaking, all you need to do is look for that thing's best stats and maximize those to the best of your ability. This isn't always true, but it's a good rule of thumb for most equipment. For warframes, that usually means maxing out one or two defensive stats and picking one or two abilities to focus on by maximizing either their strength, range, duration, or a combination thereof. Or, of course, efficiency, if you need a little help spamming abilities on demand forever. For weapons, that usually means pumping their crit rate and crit damage and or status chance, though in the beginning it's probably going to be more about pumping base damage until you get more advanced mods, but that's for another video. Players just starting out should really only concern themselves with getting mods at all. The star chart will drip feed you many of the core mods over time, either as mission/junction rewards or as drops from crates and enemies, so I highly recommend simply playing the game, understanding your playstyle, noting your strengths and weaknesses, and revisiting your mods every so often to see how they can support you and if any are worth upgrading. Starting out, just understand that there are a ton of mods out there, and while most drop from enemies or as mission rewards, certain key mods will come from vendors later on. At first, you'll be struggling to slap together anything remotely resembling a build. Later, you'll have your gear under a microscope as you tinker with builds one mod change at a time. Your mod knowledge won't be unlike the power system in any given shonen. You'll start off not knowing anything, confused by everything, and then it'll click. You'll make a breakthrough, and then you'll really get it, and later on, you'll finally start to understand, and then one day, you'll know what it's like to go even further beyond. You get it. Knowledge comes in waves, and because the mod system never stops growing, you'll never stop learning. Speaking of which, the wiki, the Warframe wiki, is your new dad. If you've got a question, the wiki has an answer. Want to know where a mod drops, where to farm resources, or really weird and specific build synergies? The wiki is where you should start. There's a lot that the game does not tell you, even about your Warframe's basic abilities, so I strongly recommend checking out the wiki pretty much every time you get your hands on a new weapon or Warframe. Link in the description. Keep it handy. Now, for a brief word on the meta. It's false. Fiction. Totally made up. It's fiction. No. It's a made-up tale. Pure fiction. It's a total fabrication. Particularly eager players may want to know exactly what equipment they should hunt down so they can get their hands on the best of the best without having to do much thinking. Don't bother. This game just isn't difficult enough to sweat through your shirt, so feel free to max out whatever you find fun. Mods or warframes will do most of the heavy lifting, even for the worst, most memeable guns that fire jokes instead of bullets. Yeah, sure, there's a meta in the broadest sense, but it's not about any particular weapon or frame. It's about having the right damage types, typically viral/ old-fashioned heat, though corrosive is making a big comeback as of late, good crowd control, bringing the right frame for the job, and dealing out the biggest numbers you can manage in the largest area you can affect. So go make your meme build, go make your cosplay loadout. You're still gonna win, and nobody's gonna mind, because you can handle it at your funniest, and this community is made up of a dense network of certified, insured, licensed, and background-checked real ones. The community. This time for real. You might have heard before that Warframe has one of the best, most friendly communities out there. It's true. While you probably won't hear a peep out of the vast majority of players in public missions, they tend to be forgiving and willing to teach even if you've committed the most obvious of errors or can't stop dying. If you're a Destiny 2 player, think about that one Sherpa that really made a raid for you, that really made something challenging seem easy and fun, and carried the group like it was lighter than air. Most people playing Warframe are more or less that Sherpa. In here, we accommodate. And yeah, you're gonna come across one or two punks every couple of months or so, but they're so rare that instead of getting frustrated, you'll probably be fascinated you haven't seen more of them. Really, they only tend to exist at all in higher stakes missions like Eidolon hunts, sortie spy missions, Archon hunts, Netracells, things you won't be coming across in a meaningful way for a long time, and when you do, you'll probably be able to solo them anyway. In the meantime, ask questions in Q&A, get weird in region chat, haggle and trade, shoot the breeze in public missions. So long as you've got some measure of chill, you're gonna have fun interactions much more often than you'd expect. Even now, you're off to a good start, because here you are, taking a chance on me. Thank you, Tenno. Sweet dreams and more to follow. Now please, hit the ready button.